Chapter 12. Crossing into the next zone felt like stepping through an invisible doorway. My last footfall landed on dirt. My next sank into snow. You have entered a new zone, the Whispering Woods.
This is ridiculous. 1 minute we're walking through a sunny meadow, and the next we're ankle-deep in snow.
I looked around at the frozen tundra. Dead trees reached into the gray sky. Dark rocks stuck out of the snow, covered with glowing blue crystals. Thick fog drifted between the trees, hiding everything in the distance.
I miss the grass already. This place looks miserable.
Fizzlewick floated beside my shoulder, wiping the mist from his monocle.
Abysmal weather.
You're a ghost. Do you even feel the cold?
No, but I remember feeling it and complaining about miserable weather as practically a national pastime where I'm from. Truth be told, I'd grumble regardless of the temperature.
I folded my arms around myself, trying to keep warm. Rocco immediately copied me, wrapping his own arms around himself and shivering with every step. Every so often he looked up at me, then shivered even harder. I frowned.
Are you actually cold, or are you just copying me?
Before he could answer, a bright blue system message flashed into view. System, playtime remaining until mandatory logout, 2 hours. I blinked. For a moment, I'd forgotten this was just a game. The valley felt so real that the outside world had slipped completely from my mind. 2 hours remained before the system forced me to log out for a mandatory break. The reminder was probably for the best. I'd been so caught up exploring that I'd forgotten to stretch, drink some water, or even use the toilet. But the real world could wait a little longer. I had 2 more hours, and I intended to use every minute. I clapped my hands together.
All right, team, we head straight for the Spire, but if you see any resources, we grab them. I want everything.
Fizzlewick gave a polite nod.
Quite sensible. A proper artificer must constantly be gathering every useful bit and bob we come across.
We hadn't walked 20 meters before I was already stripping the forest of anything remotely useful. This was my favorite part of any game. The looting, the collecting, the endless urge to pick up everything that wasn't nailed down. My hands never stopped moving. Every glowing resource we passed disappeared into my inventory. Rocco turned out to be even better at resource gathering than I was. Whenever he found a stone or a medicinal herb, he'd happily pick it up and stuff it straight into his mouth. It looked disgusting, but a second later, the item would appear safely in my inventory. We kept up a brisk pace, steering clear of distant growls and the occasional rustle that hinted at something lurking beyond the fog. If a resource was within reach, we grabbed it. If it wasn't, we kept moving. The corrupted Spire remained our only priority. Eventually, the trees began to thin. A wide clearing opened before us, and through the mist, I finally spotted the corrupted Spire.
There it is!
Relief lasted all half a second. Something moved inside the fog. Slow, heavy, too large for a normal wolf. A pair of crimson eyes appeared first. Then the rest of the creature emerged. Thick black fur rippled over a muscular frame as the enormous wolf padded around the base of the tower. It wasn't searching for prey or guarding the tower with obvious vigilance. Every few steps it lowered its head to sniff the snow before continuing its slow, patient circuit, as though it had all the time in the world. It hadn't noticed us, or it simply didn't care. I squinted at the nameplate floating above the creature's head. Boss. Darkened Alpha Wolf, level 8. I swallowed. That was considerably higher than my level 4. Then again, there were 3 of us and only 1 of him. Well, 2 of us that could actually fight. Well, 1 of us that could reliably hit things. I was a walking rock. I could run defense and take the hits, but I couldn't outrun anything, and I hit like a wet sponge. Rocco had the new gauntlet, but no speed or smarts. Fizzlewick had opinions. There was no plan B, but every RPG rewarded the player who started the fight on their own terms. Ambushes, opening strikes, bonus damage. If we could catch the wolf by surprise, maybe this fight would be easier than the level difference suggested. What could possibly go wrong? I buried that thought immediately. Those were the sort of words that got engraved on tombstones. Hoping to catch the wolf by surprise, I dropped into what I imagined was a stealthy crouch and took one slow, deliberate step forward.
Good heavens, are you trying to sneak?
Fizzlewick said, sounding genuinely astonished. I shot him a glare.
You look like someone's hidden Big Ben in a hedge and hoped nobody would notice.
Quiet, I hissed, and took another careful step towards the wolf. Crack! The sound echoed through the frozen woods. My massive stone foot had found the only branch in the entire clearing. The wolf's ears twitched. Slowly, it turned. Glowing crimson eyes settled on us, and its lips curled into something disturbingly close to a smile. Rows of jagged fangs glistened with strands of black corruption that dripped onto the snow like spilled ink.
I say, it seems we are no longer unobserved,
Fizzlewick helpfully pointed out. Without hesitation, Rocco charged the boss. His stone gauntlet gleamed. His battle cry was a high-pitched squeak. The wolf didn't even flinch. It took a single step to the side. Rocco's punch slammed into empty air. A blue notification flashed above the wolf. Darkened Alpha Wolf uses skill Dark Fang Flurry. Damage numbers burst from Rocco like fireworks. -5, -5, -5, -5. Before I could even join in on the fight, the little golem exploded into a pile of gravel. Companion destroyed.
Run!
Fizzlewick shrieked. I didn't need telling twice. I slammed the Rabbit's Haste icon on my hotbar. Skill activated. Rabbit's Haste. I performed the fastest tactical 180 of my life. Plan B, it turned out, was screaming and leaving. I bolted toward the Rabbit Meadows, the tombstone strapped to my back bouncing wildly, each impact hammering against my skull with alarming enthusiasm. I pumped my arms as if my life depended on it. I felt like the wind itself. I looked down. I was moving at approximately the speed of a slightly disappointed human. Fizzlewick shrieked, clutching his lapels as he floated frantically alongside me.
Bloody hell, is this your absolute top speed? We are fleeing a terrifying beast. I have witnessed continental drift occur with more velocity than your current pace.
Behind me, the wolf just watched me leave and yawned. Apparently, I wasn't worth the calories. We stumbled back across the border into the Rabbit Meadows.
Okay, new plan.
I held up a finger.
We identify weak mobs, low-risk enemies, repeatable fights, constant movement, no more walking into boss territory unprepared.
I held up another finger.
And every future stat point goes into agility.
A few minutes later, we found exactly the kind of enemy we had been looking for. 2 fluffy wolf cubs were playing in a pile of fallen leaves. They were small and soft, with big round eyes and paws that looked far too large for their little bodies. They rolled and bounced over each other just like playful puppies in a calendar shoot.
Aw,
I said, feeling my urge to fight completely melt away. Just then, one of the cubs yawned to show a mouth packed with needle-sharp teeth. Wolf cub, level 5.
okay, never mind about the awe,
I muttered.
They are dangerous monsters, born of mana, not mothers, old chap. Today they're all fluff and oversized paws. Give them a few months and they'll be chewing on your femur without the slightest twinge of remorse.
Fizzlewick said with a dismissive wave. Even so, I hesitated while looking from the fluffy creatures to Rocco's heavy granite body. Taking my stone companion into this fight felt exactly like bringing a giant wrecking ball into a petting zoo.
Am I the bad guy here?
I asked out loud. Because I was so busy worrying about the 2 cubs in front of me, I completely missed the third one sneaking through the bushes on my left. A low growl rumbled from my blind spot, and I turned my head just in time to see a blur of gray fur launch itself right at my shin. Clang! Wolf Cub, level 5, hits you for 2 HP. The bite sent a dull, sickening vibration all the way up my leg, almost like someone had smacked a metal pole with a heavy baseball bat. So much for feeling sorry for the fluffy little monsters. They were doing their best to chew my ankles off. Since I wasn't fast enough to catch them, I did the next best thing. I had several 100 kilograms of solid rock, so I weaponized it. I belly flopped onto 2 of the cubs. Rocco did not hesitate. He swung. Then he swung again. Rocco hits Wolf Cub for 6 damage. Rocco hits Wolf Cub for 6 damage.
Nice job! Keep swinging, buddy.
I cheered into the snow while holding the squirming cubs flat. Rocco wound up for another big punch and took a heavy step backward to brace himself, but his stone heel caught on a thick tree root. The little golem flailed his arms in circles before falling straight back into a glowing cluster of jagged blue crystals. Crash! Suddenly, a massive, high-pitched thrumming noise exploded outward from the shattered crystals, like I was standing right in the middle of a ringing church bell. My vision swam as the world glitched with bright static. Status effect: you have been stunned. The battlefield became painfully awkward. The stun effect froze us all exactly where we stood, like a movie paused mid-action. Even Fizzlewicks wasn't spared, his spectral form locked in a highly ungentlemanly, completely silent shriek. 1 wolf cub hanging off Rocco's ankle, 2 trapped beneath my stone hands. For a long, awkward second of total silence, the only things moving were our eyes, darting back and forth as if we were all waiting for someone else to make the first move. Then, as the paralysis finally began to wear off, the fight resumed as a hilariously sluggish exchange of lazy punches, snapping jaws, and clumsy shoves. I shuffled backward and my hand brushed against another blue crystal. I froze, stopping just before crushing it under my palm. Then an idea struck me.
All right, you little ankle biters, time for a game of fetch.
I scooped up a loose crystal and hurled it. Shatter! The crystal burst against the wolf cub clinging to Rocco's ankle. The cub froze. So did Rocco. I winced.
Oops, friendly fire.
The battle settled into a chaotic rhythm. I darted around the clearing, snatching up blue crystals and lobbing them at the cubs whenever I had a clear shot. Every throw had to be perfect. Too close to Rocco and I'd stun him again. Drop a crystal at my own feet and I'd freeze myself instead. It was messy, clumsy, and loud. But eventually, the final cub collapsed, dissolving into a cloud of shimmering pixels. You have defeated Wolf Cub LV5 ×3. Items automatically added to inventory. 3x wolf pelt, 3x copper coins. XP gained. Level up. You are now level 5. I stood there, panting, surrounded by shattered blue crystals. Rocco, meanwhile, had immediately forgotten about the fight, his full attention now fixed on a passing butterfly, blissfully unaware that he had just helped discover a surprisingly effective battle tactic.
I really need to teach Rocco how to throw these crystals, too.
But Fizzlewicks piped in.
Given your companion's intelligence sits at a mere 2, he would almost certainly attempt to consume one, proving a rather dreadful hazard to himself.
I glanced back at Rocco. He was spinning in slow, clumsy circles, trying to catch the same butterfly.
Yeah, no stun grenades for the toddler.
I opened my status screen to assign my level up free stat point. Before I could, the menu shuttered. A new window unfolded across the screen. Unlike the usual blue system messages, this one was framed in gleaming gold. System milestone reached. Level 5. Core card eligible for upgrade.